everybody in the world was a Rocky Horror fan, I think the world would be really boring because everybody would be a little too similar.
I don't know if I want to live in that world.
Yeah, there'd be like lingerie shops would be selling out of thigh highs and corsets all the time.
I find that people who are Rocky Horror fans are a lot more accepting and realistic of the differences in people. They're a lot less intimidated by people who are different. They don't look at stereotypes as heavily, and they kind of see beyond what they've been raised to believe is taboo, and they kind of look at the world in a different light, and I think there'd be a lot more tolerance, actually. I'm a lot more tolerant because of Rocky Horror. I never would have looked at life the way I do.
I don't think everybody is a Rocky Horror person. I think that if everybody watched things that were similar or that showed differences like that maybe the world would be a little bit more tolerant.
I think with the amount of things we've had thrown at us just from walking across the street, that if the majority of the world or the entire world knew about Rocky Horror, people would be more accepting of things, because Rocky isn't as creepy as it used to be. So it would be much easier to deal with things like, you know, gay marriage and stuff like that if people were exposed to Rocky early on.
Why don't you stay for the night? Maybe a bite. I'm sure my favorite obsessions. I've been making a man with blonde hair and tan. He's good for a leading man. Attention, I'm just a sweet transvestite. From transsexual Transylvania.
I think that Rocky Horror is something everybody needs to experience before they judge it. I've met a lot of people who have flat out said, I will never go to Rocky. Why? Oh, well, the things that go on there. What things? Well, there are terrible people there. You know me, do you think I'm a terrible person? Well, you're different. I don't understand why you go. I'm like everybody else who goes.
It's a quirky subsection of society. I mean, you'll have everything from punk rockers, at least when I was doing it, everything from punk rockers to stoners to educated people to parents to children. It was a huge cross-section of society.
It's this place where you can go, you don't have to know anybody, but you're automatically accepted into the group. You go, you sit down in a seat in the audience, there are people talking and interacting all around you. You're in the middle of it. And unless you choose to walk away, you're not getting away from it. So it's an automatic inclusion into a group. And as long as there are people out there who want to be part of some kind of social group, there are going to be people going and returning to Rocky.
It's more than just a bad movie. I mean, it's her job, you know. And it's our social life. If we ever had to like move somewhere, we would find the local Rocky Horror cast and automatically have, you know, 30 to 50 friends. It's a great social outlet for just the people that aren't your normal average khaki wearing douchebags.
Rocky Horror has been a fantastic way of meeting people that I never would have met elsewise, that have actually become a really big part of my life. I've met some of the most disloyal people you'll ever meet at Rocky and some of the most incredibly loyal people you'll ever meet at Rocky. It's like any other social group. And I was raised in a very Catholic family, and so I had this mindset of this is what you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to be it. And then I started going to Rocky and I realized that there are a lot of other types of people out there just sitting next to you.
And back then it was the outcasts and the misfits and the people who didn't fit in, who weren't cheerleaders and football players and, you know, 5'9" girls with, you know, size 2 waistlines, who could go to Rocky and feel like, you know what, I don't fit in anywhere else, but here I fit in because everyone accepts me for the person that I am.
When my daughter said she wanted to be on the cast, my big thought was, I'm a little worried about that because when I was on cast, there was a lot of drugs, there was a lot of drinking, the people got stoned before and after the show, and God knows what else. And I was very concerned that that was going on here as well. And she, reassured me that no, that it wasn't.
Things are so much tamer now. When I first started, it was a lot more about, in a way, the spirit of the film, don't dream it, be it, put yourself out there. But in putting yourself out there, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to run around half naked, which is what people used to push. They used to try to make it really something it kind of wasn't. And now, with the way society's kind of changed and people are more concerned about child endangerment and pornography, everybody freaks out at the thought of Rocky Horror and people in lingerie. And so they've really kind of tamed it down to be more true to the film.
Back then, the cast was a lower echelon of society. These were lower socioeconomic status people. And from what I can tell with Megan's cast, without the drug influence and the alcohol influence, the societal level of the cast has gone up. I look at the kids that she goes with. They're definitely not the dregs of society. I don't know if that was true of all Rocky casts, but it definitely was true of where I was.
It's not as freeform as it used to be. And I think that anybody who has not seen Rocky really doesn't understand how tame it is.
Humor back in the late 1800s and early 1900s was very bawdy. And our society has become very prudish. So Rocky Horror throws all that bodiness right in your face again. And, to the point where I think that it's very freeing.
If Rocky were re-rated today, it would be PG-13. It's rated R because there's the F-bomb once. And yeah, there's the subject matter, but the subject matter by today's standards is very tame. Very tame.
And our goal now is to make it a safe place for teenagers. So we know our core audience is between 14 and 17. So we want to make sure that people show up and they know, and their parents know, especially, because we have had parents that are concerned with their kids showing up to the shows, that there isn't anything forced on anybody. There's nothing that's going to threaten their children. We have a full security team. We make sure that people are clothed enough to where it's not going to be anything super offensive because of where we're at here and the place we're at in San Francisco and San Jose. We're in upscale neighborhoods at all three of our theaters. So we make sure that we take into consideration the fact that times have changed with Rocky. There's no longer people getting impregnated in like the back row. It's actually supposed to be a safe place for kids to be able to express themselves. But it's also good for the parents to know that, hey, this might be a movie with audience participation. My kid might be going out there in something shorter than I want them to be wearing, but we have a security team that's going to make sure that they're not going to get harmed.
I can't see Rocky really getting any more tamer than it is now. I think it'll continue to stay tame for a while, but I think there will come a time in society too where we'll start loosening up again a little bit. I think in a lot of ways Rocky will never change. It will always be this crazy place that people go to because they think it's so scary or so taboo, and they get in there and they go, oh, it's too tame for me, and they walk away, or they go, oh, this is really interesting, this is really theatrical, this is really fun. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I'm going to come back next week and hang out.
Son, what? Come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. I see you shiver with anticipation. but maybe the rain. Ready to bring. So I'll remove the coat.
What about the symptom? What about the symptom?
But not the symptom.